All right, we'll let it get fired up. Nate's at church this morning, so we're going to be down one viewer, so we'll have one viewer.
Oh, hey.
I guess, can you go back there and make sure we're both in frame where we're standing at?
Ain't looking at nothing. I'm going to kick it a little bit.
All right.
That looks good, yeah.
All right.
I mean, when it come time to it, we'll have to tip her down a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
I got my notification.
Look at that. That means people are notified.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all see, look at this blister I got yesterday from doing yard work.
Gassed up and greasy with Nick and Dan.
Does that refer to us being dirty and like gassy or like gasoline? Because I feel like you can go either way.
Gotta get a gasolina?
No. I don't think that's what we're going for. I don't know. I guess, can you click on the video and make sure the sound is working?
Oh, see.
Working?
Oh, see.
Oh, good. We can hear us both.
Mucho perfecto.
All right, cool. All right, well, you can.
Mucho perfecto.
All right, that's cool. Well, I guess we can go ahead and get started with this.
Make sure I'm in the view here.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay. Yeah.
My hair's messed up.
It's okay. That's why I have a hat on.
I forgot my hat. Oh, no.
Do you need a hat?
Nah.
There's one on top of my toolbox.
Going hatless today.
Yeah.
Because we got a special guest.
You're showing off because you got all your hair.
Yes.
We do have a special guest today.
We do.
Today we're going to be talking about really fun things. We're going to be talking about Coyote motors and Mustangs and Prochargers and fuel systems.
Wait, should we start with the intro first? Are we ready?
Yeah, I guess we're ready.
Okay.
We have an intro?
Yeah.
Oh, do it.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Gassed Up and Greasy with Nick and Dan. This is episode, like
5?
6, 5, something like that. Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know.
We've been slacking off for a couple weeks. I've been extremely busy with bowling and other stuff. And Dan's been busy with some other stuff as well. So we haven't been sticking to our schedule, but
Sorry.
we saw this beautiful Sunday and we got some awesome stuff to go over today.
Yep. Like we mentioned a minute ago, we're going to have a special guest today, Mr. John Brader, one of the most handsome man in the area.
Oh.
2 years running.
Yes.
I was hoping for a third year. Not only is he handsome, he has a pretty sweet Mustang. And he's going to be bringing his Mustang over that Nick recently installed a Procharger on. And Nick's going to be going over the Procharger, and we're going to be servicing it as well. And along with that, we're going to be discussing fuel systems.
I need more fuel.
Yes.
Or do I need less fuel?
More efficient fuel.
Ooh.
See, and that's what we're gonna talk about. So while we're waiting for John, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get started talking about fuel systems. And when John shows up, Nick's gonna dip over and get his car set up, and we'll continue on. So
First thing first. What do we have here?
we have some carburetors.
I personally know nothing about carburetors.
Yeah, and see that's
carburetors are scary to me.
well, and that's normal. I feel like most people now, their first introduction to fuel systems is already fuel injection, whereas when we were younger, 20 years ago, carburetors were still very popular on racing vehicles as well as classic cars, but now with all of the advances and availability of fuel injection systems, it's becoming more what you see. So we're going to start off with the basics.
All right.
All right.
So let me get the camera settled in here because we can't quite see. All right, so what do we got working with?
All right, first we're going to start off with a 2-barrel and a 4-barrel carburetor. Now you'll notice these are both Holley products because Holley's the best. All of you Edelbrock guys can pretend you didn't hear that and move on with your life.
Did you happen to put a Holley box there just for this?
I did, because I want to also talk about that too. So when you're looking at the carburetors, 2-barrel, 2 barrels. You see?
Simple.
Pretty simple. 4-barrel, 4 barrels. I'm surprised no gasoline's running out of these. 4 barrels. Now, a 2-barrel is most commonly what you'll see on a classic vehicle, just because a 2-barrel's enough. This particular one is a little bit different because it has no choke plate in here. This is meant for racing applications, but it gives us a better view of what's going on. So this one has no choke on it. You see you have vacuum lines to connect. You have your fuel inlet. You even have a clear glass so you can actually see inside your fuel bowl. These Holleys are great because you can adjust the float levels pretty easily. They're easy to work on. They're abundant to find. They bolt onto most factory intakes. So with that being said, That's why I prefer Holley. They just seem to work better and run better. The 2-barrel, a lot of people, your first upgrade on your hot rod is a lot of times is going to be a fuel system. And a lot of guys will take the 2-barrel off and they'll put a 4-barrel on. That doesn't necessarily equal performance. People tend to over-carburate. I think that's is that a word?
It is today.
Okay.
Over-carburate.
Over-carburate.
Well, oversized.
Yeah. So they rate carburetors based on CFM. I have no idea what CFM stands for.
It's pretty much like airflow. It's the amount of airflow. It's like cubic feet measured or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that. I like that. So on a factory small block Ford, your factory carburetor may be 390 CFM.
I think John's here.
And you want to put so go ahead. Yeah, just set the phone down. It's fine. I'll hold the carburetors up and talk about them.
All right. Yeah, because it's.
Can you see me?
Oh, there we go.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Can you
no, that's perfect.
You can see the carburetors?
We can see just the edge, so I can see to about right here.
Okay, good. That's fine.
Okay.
Oh, that was annoying. So what a lot of people do with their carburetors is they take off the 2-barrel and they move to a 4-barrel. More fuel, more air. They go hand in hand. In order to get more power, you can't just throw more fuel. You have to throw more air. You have to get that fuel to air mix right. So selecting your 4-barrel carburetor can be kind of tricky. A lot of guys will take, again, a factory 390 CFM. This one's a 500 factory carburetor, and it'll just bolt on a 4-barrel, and it'll run super rich. There's some great websites that you can go to that have CFM calculators. You can put in your engine's displacement and determine a proper CFM rating. Now, this carburetor is a 600 or a 650 CFM. You can install this on most stock American V8s, and usually it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
A lot of guys who are putting a 4-barrel on, and gals, they will do the carburetor and maybe some long tube headers and a different intake, usually that evens everything out and it runs pretty well. However, a 750 double pumper on a stock 350 or 302, you are going to drown it out.
Dan's doing a video.
Significantly.
We were just starting our morning video.
Another thing too, when you guys are in the market for carburetors,
a live feed.
There are several different options. I'm going to show you some of these boxes real quick.
Well, hello there.
So if you look at these Holley boxes, this one was a remanufactured carburetor. This was a 4-barrel, 600 CFM electric choke. Holley sells remanufactured carburetors on their website and on their eBay store as well. Those carburetors come with the exact same 90-day warranty that their brand new carburetors come with, but you can get them for significantly less. I was able to pick up a 4-barrel for around $300, which is pretty reasonable. However, the 2-barrels,
I can't remember.
Oddly enough, tend to be more expensive when you get into performance carburetors. The 68 Mercury Cougar to my side over here has a 390 V8 engine.
Yeah.
This carburetor was on it with the no choke setup. Made it kind of a pain to drive it, so we put a carburetor on there with a choke.
Sweet.
And with that being said, we had to get the right size carburetor. The factory carburetor on that 390 was about 480, 490 CFM, if memory serves me right. So we moved over to a 500 CFM Holley 2-barrel with electric choke.
I think it's already got a motor
in it.
It
should work just
it's
fine.
So it's Dan's neighbor right up the road.
The main point I'm trying to make here is just because it's a bigger carburetor does not mean it's better.
Back there.
The idea is to get the right fuel to air ratio and distribute that fuel correctly. And that's where we move on. Hey, John. Oh, you brought company.
Yep.
Oh, what's your dog's name?
Diva.
Diva?
Yeah.
Is that because she is a diva? So when you're looking at the carburetors are not always the most fuel efficient option. That's because of the way that they deliver fuel. When you operate a carburetor while it's running and you look inside the Venturis, you'll see it sprays fuel and it just kind of falls down into the mix and goes through your intake.
That's
and then
how it comes.
It atomizes.
That's
not always the most
bucks,
efficient
when
manner.
They form the body, they bolt them together right here. And so most of it. Yes.
I just thought about something. Do you still have your microphone on?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Everybody's sitting over here probably hearing you the whole time.
Turned it off.
No, it's fine.
Sorry. I didn't even think about that.
I didn't either until you walked away. Oh, technology got the best of us. So one of the things, again, just to recover, in case you didn't hear any of that, we're talking about CFM rating on carburetors, making sure we have a proper air-to-fuel ratio and delivering the fuel more efficiently. Now, on these carburetors, they just kind of dump fuel. Some people like to use the example of flushing a toilet as far as distributing fuel, whereas fuel injection sprays a nice fine mist. So now we're going to talk about fuel injection a little bit. We're actually going to move outside to this 56 Ford that I have here with a 302, and we've recently installed Holley Sniper fuel injection on it. So take a walk with me. Hopefully our signal stays intact while we're here. So if you'll look at this engine, this is a Holley Sniper setup that was recently installed in this engine. You can see it looks just like a carburetor, but you have your fuel lines here, you have idle air control. You also have all of your sensors tied into this as well to ensure a proper fuel mixture. They make it pretty easy to hook up. You can hook up all your factory linkages and cables. And you see here it's set up like a 4-barrel. Same principle. Everything works just the same, but with fuel injection. You have your send and return lines. And we're going to go ahead and start it up for you and show you a little bit about it. Now, don't pay attention to the starter dragging. The starter hangs a little bit, which is a small issue. Let's see if we can get a good view of the spray pattern. Well, our signal has gone all wonky. Just hold tight with us, folks. Apparently our signal has gone all stupid. Hey, there we go. We're working now. Wow. All right, back in action. Wow. Just a day full of technical difficulties. So with the Holley Sniper fuel injection, we'll step back out there and take a little bit of a look at that. Again, I'll show you, we'll try to get a good view of what the spray pattern looks like and show you how easy it is to start up. Again, don't pay attention to the starter dragging. It's one of the things it's here for. But yeah, so it's really cool. You can see the fuel going in there. It's just a nice fine mist. You see the fuel spraying out in the little spots there. Really snappy throttle response now. They're nice setups. There are some other setups out there as well, like the Phytech fuel injection is another option that has become pretty popular. And the Phytech option is a little bit cheaper and it's almost identical. If you set the Holley set up next to the Phytech, next to a fast fuel, they all kind of look the same. So there's some different options out there. So now, if you have a modern vehicle, you're talking about different types of injection. You're talking about multi-port or single port or tune port injection. And you've also got common rail in like diesel engines. And even in these new Coyote engines, which we'll show you in a little bit, they have a high pressure fuel setup on there. It's direct injection. So instead of the injectors going into the intake or the intake runners, it's going directly into your combustion chamber. So we're going to go over here and we're going to look at a couple different Coyote engines and talk about that. Oh, you good. So this is on the Gen 3 Coyotes. This is the direct fuel setup. You can see this little contraption on the passenger side valve cover. If you look at a Gen 1 or Gen 2, you're not going to find that. That's a pretty distinguishing factor. This is supposedly for better fuel efficiency and power, but you know, everybody's different. And you look over on this one and you can see that that is not there. And you have individual injectors in each of the different rail positions. You guys ready to talk about Procharger stuff?
We can.
All right.
So I get prepped. But
Oh, that's fine.
I got a fan on it right now.
Yeah, cooling it off.
Because these motors get extremely hot.
Yeah.
It's pretty normal out of a Coyote, especially when you start throwing a big old Procharger on it.
Yeah.
Things even that much hotter.
Here, you can hold the microphone while you talk. You'll look like Bob Barker with a little tiny microphone.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Come on down. You're next up on The Price is Right. All right, let me get it clipped up. So yeah, actually, you know what? While we're letting it cool down here, we'll just talk about things, right?
Yeah.
So John, this is a 2013, correct?
Yep.
It's a 2013 Boss 302.
One of 4,000 made.
One of 4,000. And this year in color?
In that year in color, there was less than 100.
Less than 100. Wow. This is a school bus yellow. This is my favorite color on the Bosses by far. It fits it perfectly. So the difference between a Boss and a regular GT is the intake is different. They also have different valve springs as well, which allows them to turn a little higher RPM. I can't remember if the cams are different. I think they are slightly. But they do, well, stock power on this, advertised like
444 and 390 of the rear wheels.
wow. So yeah, that's pretty good. Regular GTs, the Gen 1s came with like 400 even, I think, 395, something like that. So yeah, it's about 40 to 50 horsepower more than a regular GT. But now, previously, before this came in here, you had already done suspension, long tube headers. There was a cold air intake on it.
Short throw shifter.
Short throw shifter. Anything else?
Borla Sports.
Yep, the Borla exhaust. The suspension on it, you did coilovers all the way around. Watts link.
Yeah.
The suspension is top notch for sure.
Do you guys know how much power it was putting out before?
Before the Procharger, where were we at?
Before the Procharger, I estimated stock it was probably doing around 370
Yeah.
at the rear wheels.
Okay.
You know, they advertised 390, but I don't think it was getting that. And then when I put the cold air intake on it, actually when they tuned it, I was getting 430 to the rear wheels. Wow.
So 430, that's pretty good. So that's 60 horsepower pickup right there. So
That
after
was with that and the exhaust.
an exhaust,
Two pedals.
yep. So we added.
It was definitely 430. They thought it might have gone up somewhere up to the 440 because it was real hot.
Right, it was a 100-degree day when you had that tuned, I believe, right? Yeah. So we did the Procharger, and then with doing that, we did do the MMR oil pump gear because the oil pump gears are very brittle stock. With that one, it's a billet aluminum gear. You won't have any oil failures. Was there anything else we did? I know we did that, the catch cans. That's pretty much it, right? Just the Procharger. I thought there was something else.
Yeah, I mean with new injectors.
That's right.
Injectors.
Yeah, that's right. We did bigger injectors. We did fuel rails.
Right.
Pretty much supporting mods for. So on this one, we went with a P1X Procharger. So you're pretty much your basic ones. A P1SC is your smallest Procharger unit, unless you go down to like the motorcycles and stuff like that. But the P1X is upgraded version. It supports more power. It's got a different gear set in it and whatnot. They're just more efficient. So we went with that. We did upgrade to the red race valve, which is the bypass valve or blow-off valve, whatever you want to call it. The red race valve just sounds rowdy. So it's meant for more power. So when you get into higher horsepowers, when you let off the throttle, you've got all that boost against it. So you got to have a way of dumping that. And that's what that bypass valve does. So with the smaller valves, when you start getting into where the power of this is, it can't release the air fast enough. And then you're putting a lot of pressure on your throttle plate as it's closed. And then you can actually pop pipes off and whatnot. So we upgraded to that. I think that was about it. I know we went with, I think they were the Ford 80-pound injectors.
Yeah.
We did that. We did the MMR fuel rails just to help support it, give it more fuel. So with the Procharger kit on this, it's actually got a really cool system. I don't know if you want to zoom in, Dan.
I might.
But it does have an automatic tensioner, belt tensioner. A lot of the Procharger units have a manual tensioner, but on the Mustangs here, they do have an automatic. So it's just like your serpentine belt set up for your drive pulleys. So it's automatic, it's spring loaded. However, it is still good to check your belt, make sure it's not loose. You know, this one's pretty tight. So right now this, what were we making, like 9-10 pounds of boost, I think.
I think that's what you said.
I think roughly around there.
You have to put the boost gauge on it.
Yeah, so we gotta do that. So this has a 3.85 pulley. Mr. John, he's always wanting to go faster. So we're planning on changing the pulley size, going to a smaller pulley. So roughly about every 1/10 of an inch you go down on a pulley size is a pound of boost. So it's a 3.85. So if we go to a 3.75, that essentially would be 1 more pound of boost. There are different variables that can change that, but that's a good rule of thumb to start with.
Now, let me ask you a question. Changing something as simple as a pulley size and only slightly increasing the boost, is that going to require retuning it?
No, not if you're only doing a pound or 2. Now, if you go changing it like 5 pounds, then yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have it retuned, but really for like a pound or 2, it's not. Because a Procharger, so if you don't know, they work a lot like a turbo, except for they are just belt driven. They don't rely on exhaust pressure to spin the Procharger. So it's very similar to a turbo, so the boost is made with RPM. The higher the RPM, the more power you're making, versus like a roots blower where all your boost is made right away. It's not so much RPM based. So with these, you know, cruise around at 3,000 RPM, it only make 2-3 pounds of boost. But when the RPM comes up, I think this one, what was it, turning like almost 8,000, I believe he had a turning.
Wow.
It was something high. Well, I don't remember the exact number, but it was high. These things turn some RPM. Might have been like 7,500. But either way, I know it was higher. So that's where you start making all of your peak power, which that's why I like Prochargers, especially for daily drivers, because cruising around normal, you're not really making any boost. You're not putting any excessive pressure on the motor. Yeah. Only when you get in it and you start, you know, getting that happy pedal down and start hitting 7,000 RPM, oh yeah, you feel it then.
Now, if you had a supercharger on here though, you're making boost all the time.
Right, you're making boost pretty much right away. So like a Hellcat, for instance, those are constantly pushing boost to the motor, even when you're driving them easy. Now they're not gonna make, you know, 20, 30 pounds like it would if you're hammering on it, but it's still making good pressure. So this is better to me for daily driving.
Well, and also probably for hood clearance. You know, if you put a supercharger on this, it may not fit under the stock hood. I'm sure they make ones that do.
Right, and then you got to change your intake and everything. And especially on a car like this, where this is a collector's car, you don't really want to go. I mean, they put the fancy Boss 302 intake on it. You don't want to get rid of that. No. That thing's too pretty.
Exactly.
So we are at, we did this a while ago, but we're right at 500 miles. Yeah. So after the initial install of 500 miles, you want to change your Procharger head unit oil. So we're going to go through all that. And then also we're going to go over a few things to check just after install. We're going to like bolt check all the bolts. We check the Procharger belt. We're also going to check our catch cans to make sure it is catching oil. They won't be full. There should be some in it though. So we do want to check those, make sure they're working. So I guess I'll get this thing jacked up.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there.
Right. While you're doing that, me and John are going to talk about cars.
All right.
Yeah. Let me make sure you can see both of us. We don't want to see Nick. We just want to see me, you, and Diva.
You don't want to see me?
That's all that matters. Oh, yeah. Hi. Would you like to say something to the people? How old is she?
She's 10.
10?
Yeah.
That's nothing for you.
Yeah, she's a rescue.
Oh, man. Well, that's what we've got the pug. He's not a rescue. He was bought with dirty bar money. But he was. Now, Jacqueline worked at the biker bars down there in Myrtle Beach, and the profit she made, she went and bought Jimmy the pug. She also adopted me, so she's made poor choices. We can't fault her for that. So, you were telling me when we were first talking about this Mustang that you always wanted a Mustang.
Yes.
So like since the day you saw one, and so you talking about the first Mustangs?
Yep, the first they came out in 1964 and a half, and I loved them from the day they came out. And you know, we didn't have a whole lot of money, so I didn't have enough money to buy it.
Yeah.
So my first job was in New Jersey, and I met a guy from my hometown, and he used to drive me back and forth. We just had gotten out of the Navy.
Yeah.
And he bought a '66. It was a maroon Mustang convertible with a white top and white interior.
Oh wow, I could never keep that clean.
Yeah, it was a 289 with a 4-barrel,
Yeah.
and I guess they were 3 speeds at the time.
Yeah, most of them.
And I loved that car. I just fell in love with that car. And ever since then I wanted one. And you know, I waited for a long time. Kids through college, marriage, and retirement and all that. And then for this car, I was coming back from a bowling tournament in Reno and got stuck in San Francisco.
Yeah, so you should shop for a car.
So I shopped for a car online. Guy from Capital Ford called me 10 o'clock the next morning on Route 40, said, what do you want? I said, I really like the GT500. I wanted a 2013 GT500.
Yeah.
He said, or else I'll take the Boss 302. Now at that time, these were remakes of the 69 and 70s.
Okay.
And in 2012, they made 4,000. 2013, they made 4,000.
All right. And you said this one, there's only less than 100 in this particular combination.
Yeah, I believe there is. You can look at the number because the motor is numbered, and I think the car is numbered right there. On
yeah,
top
and you even got a Ford Racing sticker on the shock tower there.
Yeah, and then so I said I'm on Route 40 now. I said, see what you get me. So I got home. He called me and he said, rather than the GT500, he said I would suggest the Boss 302. I said, why is that? He said it's a better car.
Huh.
He said it's more fun to drive. And they were actually built to road race like the Parnelli Jones ones in the late 60s to beat the Camaros.
Yeah.
So this was all set up for road racing, even stock. And so he called me back and he said, what color do you want? And I said, anything but the green.
Pretty low.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. He called me back an hour later. He said, you want it? I said, yep. He said, come on over and get it.
How did it feel to drive it home the first time though?
I was almost in tears.
It's everything you wanted?
Yeah, it was everything I ever wanted. I've never had a fast car before. The fastest car I ever had was a Nissan Maxima. That only
this
had,
is a little different.
Yeah, and this car is just unbelievable. Even stock.
Well, Explorer you got's probably pretty peppy too.
Even stock it was great. So, and what the Ford did, which was really nice, they gave you a track day out in Utah.
Really?
Yep. So you got to drive. I got to drive a 2012 Boss 302 on the track.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So they taught you how to road race.
They ruined you from the get-go.
Yeah. So I mean, in terms of, we're gonna take it over the Galat sometime, and Nick's gonna run that Galat. So I'm not interested in drag racing. I just rather road race.
Yeah.
So I enjoy driving it on all the back roads.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's fun.
Yeah.
And so I mean, you kept it stock for a while. You enjoyed it, and then more power.
Yeah. After the warranty, I kept it stock for the 3 years. So then when the warranty was up, I said, okay, let's go do the, I put the cold air intake on it first and the tune, the short throw shifter.
Yeah.
And they did the custom tune, and that's like I said. And then with the long tube headers,
yeah.
It was the long tube headers and the H pipe, and then I put the bore exhaust on it. I got 432.
Yeah. And all that stuff's pretty bolt-on. It's not invasive. It's stuff that can be removed to retain it back to stock.
Right.
And even this Procharger, too. These items can be removed to make it stock again, and you can bolt that Procharger on the next project.
Right.
Maybe, who knows? You might come home with a 65 fastback one day, and it needs a Procharger.
That's right.
And a Coyote engine.
Or if you want to upgrade the Procharger, all the brackets and everything there, all you have to get is the head unit.
So if you're going to upgrade this Procharger, all the brackets are the same.
Right, unless you go with like the big ones.
What's the sizing on this one again? As far as what do they call this model?
It's a P1X.
A P1X.
So you can go to like a F1.
Okay.
Which will bolt on. I think an F1A94, which is like one of the rowdiest ones they have. If you go with like their bigger units, like they're crank driven.
Yeah.
None of that works.
Now, what would be the benefit to going up size on those?
More power.
More power.
Yeah, more power,
That's
more
it.
boost. They just get them more efficient.
Now, is the housing larger?
Yes. So I think this one's like, well, that might be the same as this one. To a P1SC, they're a little bigger. I would say those are like a 9-inch. These might be a 9.5. I have to pull it up.
But are there much large, the ones that are significantly larger? That would,
Yeah, but those are the crank-driven ones or gear-driven, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
But they actually mount, comes off the crankshaft and it drives. So they mount in front.
Well, and they did that with slingshot dragsters in the 60s. They had superchargers that mounted on the crankshaft.
Yeah. Hard on the crankshaft, but
whatever, it's
that's
racing.
when you're up in the 3,000 horsepower range.
Yeah, at that point you don't care. You know you're spending thousands of dollars that weekend just to show up.
I keep watching in front of the camera, but
It's okay. Nobody cares. There's probably like 2 people watching. It doesn't matter. They're only here to see Diva, and then they're gonna leave. You are. How much does she weigh?
She's about 5 pounds.
I would lose her.
Yeah.
My cat weighs more than that. My daughter's got a cat that weighs 20 pounds. He's huge. Big old fat ass.
so we're pretty much ready to get started.
All right.
Oh.
Well, so you're not dealing with microphones. I'll try to mic with you the best I can.
Oh, I've got mine right there. I mean, it's on, but
Yeah.
all right. So when you buy a Procharger, they are so kind and give you a pack of oil. So these are all, I think they're 6 ounces. Yes, they're 6 ounces. That's all it takes in your unit. Is 6 ounces of oil. After the first one, so you do the first one around 500 miles. After that, it's every oil change or every other oil change. Personally, I would do it every oil change, but
It can't hurt, right?
right. But they tell you can do it like every other oil
So
change.
one bottle is one service.
Yes. So you don't. So it takes all the guesswork out. You don't have to worry about putting in too much or too little. You literally just put in a bottle.
Now, let's say that you don't do it right. You don't drain enough oil, or you put too much in there. Is there a way to check the level?
Aha! Yes.
So we'll look at that. There's some sort of sight or dipstick.
There's a dipstick,
That's using your dipstick.
Jimmy.
You know what you did though about putting that tube in so it's easier to green.
Oh yeah. Yep. We'll show that. Yes. All right. Let me get this out of the way.
All right, I'm going to bring the camera up so we can see a little more. I've got something in my pocket for you.
Yeah. This is your dipstick. A flathead screwdriver. It's going to be very hot, so I'm just going to grab it with a rag. You can see
Oh, wow.
got the little dipstick on it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And just like your oil, you know, it tells you in there like a minimum, a maximum. But yeah, so that is also where we're going to fill it as well. So you do see another bolt right here. So there's actually 2 spots. So different cars, they'll be clocked differently. So for instance, on a Camaro, you might use this port as for your dipstick, but on this one, it's that up there. Same thing on the other side here. There's different plugs for your drain. Daniel, I don't know if you can get over here.
I'll try my best.
But so these are other drain ports that you could use. We have this braided line. So that is actually our drain. So that is something too that we added on. It makes it painful to drain these. You pretty much have to take it out to get the oil out, or stick something in there to suck it all out, and then you don't know if you get it all.
Now, is that braided line something you bought from them or something you did yourself?
It's an option that comes with the kit. Nice.
You know, that's coming off. That's coming out of your check.
Yeah. So if you can creep on down here.
I'll try my
Good
best.
thing you're here to keep an eye on it.
I can't supervise him at all.
So when I installed this, I ran the line down. So I had it tucked up out of the way. I pulled it down. But yeah, so this is our drain line. So I've already cracked it loose.
And we're only getting 6 ounces of oil out of here, so you don't need. You could use a soda bottle container to drain it into if you wanted to.
There's not much at all that's going to come out.
Yeah, and it looks nice and clean.
Yep. And so that's also too, I did clean the pan. I wiped it all out nice and clean, so this way we can inspect it and make sure there's no metal shavings. I mean, a little bit is normal. You just don't want a lot of chunks.
Yeah.
Little fine shavings are normal, especially on the first one because of your break-in. We'll let that drain. It'll take a couple minutes. It's not the fastest thing in the world.
while it's draining, can you hold your microphone?
Oh, yeah.
And tell us about some other maintenance items you may want to pay attention to.
Yep. So first thing, we talked about the belt. Next is our bolts here for the bracketry. Everything bolts to the motor. You want to check all these. We'll put a wrench on all them. Just make sure everything's tight, hasn't come loose. This thing does, I mean, it does vibrate. Same thing with the bolts here. Now, when I installed this, I did Loctite with blue Loctite just to help with the vibrations. So on these, I'll put a wrench on there, but I'm not going to hammer on it because I don't want to break the Loctite. We're just going to make sure they're not loose, but the rest of them were not Loctited. So those we'll check. Then also we have catch cans here. So on the Mustangs, they use 2 catch cans. You got the one comes off your PCV valve, and then the other one comes off your intake, going from the valve cover to the intake tube. So we're gonna check both of them. Like I said, they shouldn't have, since we only have like 500 miles on it, this isn't gonna be full.
How often should you check these?
Every oil change.
All right.
But we wanna make sure there is some oil in it, that it is working. There might only be a couple drops. Oh, well, there you go. There's a little bit in there.
Here, let's
There's very little, but there is some in there.
yeah.
But that's pretty normal for 500 miles. When you're driving it and you go 3,000 or 4,000 miles, I would say normal is probably about halfway full.
All right.
So simple. You just dump these out. I normally spray them out with brake clean and then just put them back on.
Excellent. And now you said there is 2 on here.
Yes.
So you want to check both of them.
Yes. So the other one here, this one's because of the intake tube. It's a little harder to get to, but it's not too bad.
Now if they fill up, I'm in trouble, right?
Yeah, if they get full, then you're sucking oil down your intake, and that is the purpose of the catch can, is because you're going to have blow by, especially with any type of forced induction. And so when it happens, you're sending oil through the intake, and then it's going in your combustion chamber and down, so it's not a good thing. So that's why you do catch cans, so it catches any of that oil that bypasses.
Now, and if you had a failure with the Procharger, much like a turbo, but I'm assuming you would get excessive amounts of oil in
So this one's pretty much dry, which is normal. You can see a little, there's like maybe a couple drops that were in there at one point, but that's pretty normal. So your other side is actually your PCV valve. This is just off your other valve cover, so it's just an additional. So this is pretty normal. This one is never going to have much of anything, but I mean, it looks like there was a couple little droplets.
Yeah.
But not
well,
much.
that's good,
I mean, it's
that
pretty
one's,
much.
that one's a pain to get to. So
Yeah. But that's actually good because that's the one that's actually pulling your fresh air from your Procharger. So having this dry is actually better anyway. So this way it doesn't accidentally. Oh, I can feel it up here. So there is some oil. It just hadn't been enough to collect down there. So on the cap there, it is oily. So that's good. So it's working. That's the biggest thing. We want to make sure they're working.
is there anything else? You already talked about checking the belt tension, checking the bolts.
Yeah.
Is there anything else with the unit itself that you need to check?
No, not really. You know, like check your air filter clamps. You know, and then since we did the fuel rails, I'm going to pop these side covers off and just make sure there's nothing, no seepage of any kind on any of the fuel stuff.
Now, along with
much
putting the Procharger on, obviously you're putting a different intake. Is an air filter selection important?
Yeah, I mean, so they give you an air filter with the kit. However, and I don't know why, things just happen, the air filter that they send with this particular kit was actually longer.
Well, this kit was made for GTs and
yeah,
the
but
Boss,
they're the
right?
same. Yeah, it's made for a Boss, but the filter itself was longer, and the problem was it was hitting the firewall. It would have worked, but I just didn't want it rubbing because it would have rubbed through the heat insulation there.
Yeah, and
so I
again,
had a little
especially-
bit of shorter one, but it's bigger in diameter, so it's pretty much has the same surface area filter.
Is this a washable filter?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So this is actually an SMB filter, which is pretty much just like a K&N. They are reusable. You can wash them, clean them, and then spray the oil on it. That, I don't know, you only have to do probably every 15,000, 20,000 miles.
Well, like John's not driving around on a lot of dirt roads, so he's not going to run into that
I mean,
too
visually
much.
looking at this one, it still looks like it's brand new.
I imagine most people that have a Boss 302 don't drive down dirt roads.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
I might go a little mudslinging.
Do some Dukes of Hazzard stuff.
But no, I mean, that's pretty much it. Especially on this first oil change, you just want to go through everything, pretty much anything that you installed, and check your bolts. Make sure nothing came loose. Make sure nothing's rubbing hoses or lines or anything like that. Make sure the vacuum lines and all are good. After that, if it's good this time, I would say you wouldn't have to worry about it again. But just for this first time, you definitely want to check everything out. So let's check on our...
Two other things I did to this.
What's that?
Michelin.
Michelin?
Pilots.
Michelin pilots. Did that make a huge difference on handling?
Pilot Sports 4S's.
Yeah.
Pirellis were terrible.
You didn't like the Pirellis?
They were like rocks.
Well, and you don't want that, especially if you're doing road course racing.
So,
you need to make sure you got a good grip.
we got our oil
Hold
here
it up
from
a
the
little more.
Procharger. So you can see there's a... well, my cameraman.
Oh, yeah,
with
sorry.
me. Here, we're going to do this.
I was on a smoke break.
Yep. So you can see there's a little bit of like metalliciness to it. That's pretty normal for the first one.
But no chunks.
No like gear chunks off of it. I mean, you see there's quite a bit of metal. You do have a gear set in there. They're metal to metal gears, which is normal on this first one. The next oil change, it's actually really pretty. I'm like mesmerized by it.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. No, that's pretty normal for the first one.
Heck yeah.
So everything looks pretty good.
All right.
Most people would see this and probably be freaking out and be alarmed, but no, this actually when I had mine on my Corvette, it looked way worse than that.
Yeah.
But I also drove it hard every single time.
Yeah, well, it was a drag car. You know?
Yeah.
All right, so now you got the drain plug closed up.
Yep, so I'm gonna put my plug back in, get my line tucked back up under there, and then we'll fill her up with some Earl.
Oh, this is lowered about an inch and a quarter, an inch and a half.
Oh yeah, this
Yeah.
thing's really low.
Yeah, no, it is. That's on our neighbor Nate. He's got one as well, and he has to drive his up on wood blocks before he can get a jack underneath it. And he's got a 2-post lift, but he has to jack up the car to get the.
Yeah, I didn't want it that low.
No,
I mean,
no.
There are some of those parking lot humps so they can't go over.
Oh yeah.
It just scrapes it up.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
And that Nick, that plug just pretty much like a regular drain plug, just snug. You don't have to
Yeah,
crank
so
it.
it's actually a AN or JIC fitting, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it. Yeah, so you
You've
just...
got something in your hair right up front. You got it.
All right. There's a leaf. There's a leafy
The
bug.
leafy bug, the jelly birds.
Yeah. All right. So now, pop our oil in here. So I got my fresh tube.
And you don't want to squeeze it too hard, right? Because it's a pretty small orifice.
Yeah.
So you just want to drip it in, let
Yeah.
it fall down. Obviously, you would recommend using their provide.
Yeah.
Does it tell you what kind of oil it is?
I've never...
Because it looks pretty thin.
Yeah, I've never heard or ran an alternate.
So anyway, you should just stick with the Procharger brand oil that they provide for their Prochargers.
Right. Now, I will say something, too. The bigger units, like when you get into the F series, they hold, I believe, 8 ounces of oil. So they do hold more. Yeah.
Well, that's about it. Well, that didn't take too long.
No, it's
Less
not
than a
terrible.
minute.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. And then they give you 1 cap for 3 bottles, so save your little cap so you can pour it for the next round.
All right.
Now, do you have to buy that from Procharger, Nick? Or can you get that other place?
Nah, it comes from Procharger.
I wonder if Jegs or Summit or somebody.
They probably sell it, yeah.
Okay.
But I've never had to buy any because it always comes with it, and I didn't have my car long enough to go through 3 bottles. So.
Yeah, well, you know. That's all right, so we got the drain plug back in. The oil's full. You're gonna check it with the fancy dipstick.
I mean, we can. Really, no need to, but yeah, just for why not?
Yeah, just show an example.
Yeah. What do I do with mine? So when I check it, I screw this all the way down.
Yep.
Just because it does go down another 1/4 inch or so. Then it's kind of hard to see, but it's right there, dead in the middle.
All right, fantastic.
It's pretty thin, so it's hard to see, but yeah.
Yeah, well, especially that the oil's clean. The
Yeah.
first time you put it in there, it's going to be harder to see.
And then this too, you just kind of snug it. It's got like a plastic sealing washer.
All right.
So yeah. So now.
So what's the next step? We got to drain the catch can.
Yeah, we'll drain that, clean it out, and then we'll bolt check all of our head unit bolts.
I don't think so, Tim.
Yeah, I gotta figure out which size was what. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a few different sizes. I want to say they were 13s and 15s.
Oh, there's more than one size?
Yeah.
Procharger doesn't sell you a tool set to go with it?
I mean, they probably would.
Yeah. So while Nick's getting his wrenches for that, as he mentioned earlier, you want to drain these catch cans and you want to clean them out for two reasons. One, so you're getting an accurate read in between inspections of the catch cans to see how much oil you're actually collecting. And two, if there's any kind of debris or anything like that, you want to make sure and check in between as well. So you drain it out. You can wipe it out with a rag. You can spray it out with some degreaser or some brake clean. If you use any kind of degreaser or brake clean, just make sure that you get all the residue out and that it's completely removed. These are powder coated and they have a knurl on them similar to like the chokes on a shotgun. So you actually get a good grip on it. And you're not going to turn these in really hard. You're not tightening them with all your might. You're turning them in and you're just nice and snug. You should not need oil filter wrench pliers to take these things off. How's your bolt inspection looking?
Everything looks good.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, did I get that bolt? Nope. I didn't get a deep socket. But yeah, all those were tight. And then we'll check the Allens too.
Oh. Now, John, is there anything else that you would like to do to this car besides the pulley change? Nothing?
No,
For now.
Yeah,
I mean, this car makes good power. Would it make a 690?
I don't know what else I would do with it, but you guys asked me.
Oh, no, you don't want to leave it up to us.
I think it made what, like 690 to the wheels?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good power.
Now, if we do the smaller pulley, what do you estimate we'll get out of it?
So probably around 710, 715, maybe a little more. Every car is a little different as far as how it takes to the change. But yeah, I would say pick up another 30 horsepower per pound of boost, roughly 30 to 40. Some cars, usually when you get in a bigger power, like in the 1,000 horsepower range, a pound would only bring it up maybe 10 or 15. In the lower horsepower, each pound makes a bigger difference.
Yeah.
Kind of like in some of the high horsepower cars, guys making 2,000-3,000 horsepower, they add a degree of timing. Could be 150 horsepower. But for a car like this, the degree of timing might only be 20.
Yeah.
It's all dependent on cars, but yeah.
Now, John.
Well, there's two things I want to do.
Okay.
Eventually, I want to upgrade the clutch.
Okay. It's still stock clutch?
Yeah, it's still a stock clutch.
Oh, yeah.
It pretty much overwhelms it. So when you're stop and go traffic, it's a little choppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I want to upgrade the brakes.
Yeah.
I thought this has the bigger brakes on it, or it doesn't.
Well, better brakes.
Oh, so it's got Brembos on it, but yeah, you could do like the drilled and slotted rotors or the upgraded Brembos, yeah.
Yeah, and for
Well,
those
maybe the Brembo's on the front, but at least the back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Now,
So that's the other thing too. So this car, I will say, is probably right around 700 is about where I would say max for a stock clutch. Upgrading to that, there's really only one that I would recommend, and that is the RST, RSX. It's a McLeod RSX dual clutch. Those are usually rated for like 12 to 1400, I think. Don't quote me on those numbers. But those clutches, man, they're great for daily driving because they don't, shudder and stuff,
Yeah.
but they hold a ton of power.
okay.
So those, that's what I would recommend. And usually we get the McLeod clutch, so it comes with the flywheel, it comes with the clutch, the pressure plate, it's a
matched
whole
set.
kit. Yeah, and they work great. We've put them in a bunch of cars and had great results with every one.
Heck yeah.
So
So what
did you clean that out for me?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
I cleaned
sweet.
that out, tightened it up.
Yep.
You checked all the bolts.
Yeah, for that.
Check the
So
belts.
I checked the bolts on the bracket itself and the head unit. Next thing, I'm going to go over the charge pipe. So this is your pressure side. So it's got these nice squeeze clamps. What are they, like T-clamps, I think is what they call them.
Yeah.
But we'll check those bolts because that's what's holding all your pressure. And then really just visually checking. All the hoses look great. You know, nothing, I don't see anything out of the ordinary. Overall, everything looks really good. So the other thing too is I gotta grab a 10 millimeter. I wanna pop the side covers off so I can check the fuel rails. So we'll do that real quick.
What are
Won't
you
take but a
checking
second.
on the fuel rails?
Just to make sure it's not leaking.
Oh, okay.
Since we put new fuel rails and injectors in,
Yeah.
just wanna make sure nothing's seeping by or anything like that.
Yeah, I got you.
So here, we'll pop that off.
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
This way you can see what they look like too.
Yeah. So aside from the clutch being choppy, was there any other thing you had to get used to driving it with the Procharger, aside from more horsepower and stuff?
Just
You can't
with
be
the more horsepower.
You can't be stupid.
No, you can't be stupid.
Oh no, it will break loose.
Yeah.
At 120.
I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, yet. I like how you said that. Because and I think that's important, is in order to handle your machine, you got to know the limits. Unfortunately, that's the scary part, is finding the limit.
Yeah.
That can go very badly.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the suspension handles it great.
But it's not annoying just daily driving
Nope.
it. You know,
Nope.
I know
And-
the Prochargers have a little bit of noise to them,
But I
but
like it.
yeah.
And what I like is like when I'm, especially when I'm coming across Cornwallis and all the other cars are backed up going the other way toward Old Drugstore.
Yeah.
So I don't have to hit it hard, but as I go by them, I keep the window down so I can just hear
Oh,
the
yeah.
race open valve and people are looking at it
Oh,
because it's
yeah.
so loud.
So that is an option too.
What's that?
You can change the gear set to a helical cut gear.
Helical cut versus
Yeah.
straight cut.
Right, and I don't know. It makes them a little bit quieter, but I don't know. I think hearing the noise. Right, I think hearing the noise is part of the fun of having a Procharger. All right, Daniel, you want to zoom in here?
Well, we're going to talk about helical cut gears real quick because I happen to have one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is a helical cut gear. I don't know how well you can see it, but see, the gear teeth are not straight. They're actually cut at an angle. This one is out of a Eaton 10-speed manual transmission from a semi-truck. No, excuse me, this is out of a 6-speed. But you can see the gears are not straight cut, and it's supposed to allow for them to mesh quieter and make better contact, but honestly, in this application, I don't really think it's necessary. I think it's more personal preference for noise at that point.
I don't know. Why would you have a Procharger and not want to hear it?
That's the way I look at it, is I don't think that anybody that has a Procharger wants to just not hear it.
Right? That's the fun of it.
You want to hear the noise, right?
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing about this Procharger too is, I mean, even before, if I'm just conservative driving around town, I was getting anywhere from 17 to 18 miles to the gallon,
Yeah.
and I still am.
So you're still getting 17 to 18 miles to the gallon with 700 horsepower.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane.
Yes.
Yes.
You're not going to do that with a roots
My
blower.
bone stock 96 Suburban did not get that.
No, I mean, like when I drive it to Georgia, I haven't driven it with the Procharger on it, but I was driving it to Georgia, it's in 6th gear. It's I don't know, it's not even turning 3,000 RPM
Wow.
in 6th gear.
That's insane.
And it's, and I'm getting, what was I getting? 23, 24 to the gallon.
All right, you want to zoom in here?
Yeah, sure.
Show the fuel rails. All right, so this is our fuel rail here side. So what I'm checking is like around the fitting. So you have a plug at the front. There's an AN 90-degree fitting here that crosses over to the other side. So we're just checking around these locations. I mean, you can see they're bone dry. There's nothing dripping, which is a good sign, but it's always good to check. By the injectors, just making sure they're not leaking, but there is zero fuel on this. We'll go to the other side. So that's the side that actually plugs up to the stock fuel line. So this is our stock fuel line coming in here. So we run an adapter to change it over to all AN fittings. I would say if there was going to be a leak, That's probably most likely where it'd be, is somewhere in this area. But again, it's all bone dry. There's no signs of it ever leaking. Same thing, all the injectors, everything looks good. I don't see any wire chafing or anything like that. Nothing's moved around. And then our line crossing over on the backside, everything looks good. So that pretty much wraps up what to check when doing maintenance on this for this particular application. Everything looks good. Don't see anything out of the ordinary.
So
No
the only
issues.
thing left at this point would be to put the covers back on, lower it, fire it up, just make sure nothing's leaking. And, even though we already know it's already not, but
Right.
know,
Just like when you do an oil change, you know, it's always good to
leave the oil filter off, fire it up, blow the engine
yes.
up.
That's
Actually, man, you know how many times I've seen that leave quick lube places like that? I've replaced a lot of engines for that reason.
really.
Yeah. Well, we're creeping up on an hour, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and close down the live, and then before he leaves, we'll get a quick video of the car running, and like listen to the exhaust and stuff, and we'll do a little short video we'll post up later.
There's one thing, one additional thing I want to say. This is just a plug.
Okay.
I have known Nick since he was about, well, I moved down here in 2001, so he was about 12 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dan I met not that long ago, but I will tell you this. If
He's gonna make me blush.
there's not many people I would trust with this car. And these are two guys I would trust with this car.
We appreciate it.
So if you want any work done, you're not going to find any better people to do it than these two guys.
Heck yeah.
You're gonna make me blush.
Well, it's...
Well, thank you for the kind words, John.
And, and that means a lot, and it goes a long way. Me and Nick, we might just, look like your average Joes, but we're both very particular with how cars are done. We appreciate other people's cars just as much as they do. We want them
Yeah, we treat it like it's our own.
done right. Yeah, you treat it like your mom's driving it. You want it to be safe and reliable and done correctly. And that's just how it should be. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there that do take shortcuts and, cause people problems later on down the road. I don't want to do that. I want you to come back for more stuff, not come back because something broke.
Or come back just to hang out, but not come back because you're angry.
Yeah, no, come back and hang out.
Yeah.
Especially during the week. I have no human interaction during the week. Like the parts guys will drop off parts from O'Reilly's, and I'll try to keep them here talking to them.
So you're like that commercial with the guy, with the Amazon guy, the State Farm commercial, and he gets all sad. He's like, I can't get any more packages. And then he's like, oh, you can't save money on State Farm. And he's like, whatever. He's like, Tom, I'll see you tomorrow.
That's exactly it.
Eva said she wants to come back.
Oh, yeah, she can.
She's just been chilling the whole time.
She is the quietest little dog I've ever seen. She hasn't made a peep. No.
No. So actually, I don't know if you're still on live. We can we'll just drop this down and we'll fire it up for the crowd.
Hold on, I'm not ready.
Well, you gotta get your side all the way down first and pull that jack out.
Okay.
Because this is the low pro. So if I pull this one out, you'll never be able to get that out. You're good.
All right, I'm all the way down, and I'm out.
You gotta have them low profile jacks.
Yeah. Race car.
All right, keys in it.
Yeah.
Fire it up.
Nick's gonna go ahead and fire it up. We'll let you listen to it in the front, and we'll move around to the back. Listen to that thing. You see, it's really not that noisy. It's just got a little whistle to it. Just enough so that people know that it's not stock. It's got a real nice tone to it. Nice looking car.
You can't help but to be happy every time you hear it.
Oh, yeah. I love hearing it.
It just makes me giggle.
All right, so Nick, John, Diva,
I'm cheesing now.
thank you all for
Thank you
coming
everybody
by.
for watching.
And if you guys are catching this later and not live, if you have any questions, feel free to jump on here and ask or say anything. We'll be more than happy to answer it. And
Buy from Greasy Boy Customs.
yes, buy from
like
us.
that. Yeah.
John even wore his shirt too.
Yep.
I have mine underneath, but for some
You got
reason,
your hood. You got a Greasy Boy hoodie on.
Yeah.
I need a blue one now, right?
Yeah.
We do have blue shirts available now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.